Why hello there, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Car Juice. Today I'm going to be giving you guys the squeeze on the 2024 BMW X6. As you can see, cargo road, but cargo space very good. So even though that this thing is BMW's X5 slimmed down to a beautiful coupe frame, this thing actually still has some pretty decent trunk space. I know we typically don't start from the trunk, but I think I'm going to start doing it because it's a lot of fun. You do have a kick tailgate, and then you also have a single push close button for the tailgate as well. And the X6 is quite a beautiful back end, if I were to say so myself. You will see these about 1/8 of the time compared to the rest of the BMW lineup. And then, unfortunately, the back end is the only thing on this car that really wasn't redesigned for the 2024 model year. However, as we walk around to the front of the car, which you guys may be a little bit more interested in, you can see that they really did redesign a whole lot of different stuff. So this car actually has some pretty good options on it. Speaking of which, the M Sport Professional option is probably one of the coolest of those options we're talking about. With that, you get this matte black kidney grille, and then you also have this illuminated kidney grille as well, which you can get as a $500 standalone option on the X5. And it's cool as they're starting to distribute this along the lineup. But for the 2023, the pre-LCI, you could only get an illuminated kidney grille on the X6. So it's cool to see that they're starting to share that down the product lineup. Another thing that I do want to mention is that you can only get the X6 in the M Sport configuration now, which with M Sport, typically what that does is it adds in these beautiful color-matched fender liners. You get these upgraded 20-inch wheels, and then since this one has the M Sport Professional package, it gets these blue or black or red brake calipers. So kind of a nice thing. This car does have all-wheel drive as standard. You can't get these in rear-wheel drive, at least in the United States. And then you have 275 45/20s on the rear. You can go up to 22-inch wheels and get them in black if that's your kind of thing. But then the smallest size is this 275s on the rear, and then you have 275s on the front. So it is a square setup. With BMWs, you aren't going to want to rotate those tires. We get that question a lot at my dealership, so you're not going to be doing that on this vehicle. As you can see, these headlights are a new design for the 2024 model year. This was one of the biggest improvements on top of the additional 40 horsepower that they added whenever they came out with this new styling. You've got this quite nice hexagonal video game-esque headlight, as my coworkers and I like to call it. And then the air curtain was also redesigned, and generally just the front of this car was just kind of pinched and sharpened for the 2024 model year. This came out in 2020, and then they ran the first part from 2020 until 2023, and then now they have this redesign. They'll probably run this until about 2026, 2027, whenever they come out with their cool, complete redesign. Sorry about that. Okay, I was jamming on the way up here. But another upgrade that you can see on this new 2024 Model X6 is the upgraded 12.4-inch touchscreen on the inside of the dash, and then you also have this beautiful ambient lighting on the inside here, 17 different colors versus the previous generation only having 6. They also added in some new interior materials for the 2024 model year, and you get this nice Veganza, Sensafin, or Sensatech as they like to call it. It's all the same material, but this is just very quilted and padded and quite nice. And then they also changed some of the proportioning of how you get certain packages. Like, for example, previously you could only get ventilated seats if you got massage, but now they've baked that into the climate comfort package. And in case you guys are wondering, the original MSRP of this car was $83,190 for the original price of the vehicle. And this one is for sale for, I think, it's going to be less than this, but we change our prices weekly, so I'm not going to quote that. But it is for sale at BMW Cincinnati North, the dealership that I work at, with 10,000 miles on it, and you've got warranty on this car until May 25th of 2028 with unlimited mileage. This car has some decent options. So you've got the climate comfort package, which gets you front and rear heated seats, ventilated seats, and then you also get additional 4-zone climate control. So the people in the back can have their individual climate comfort set accordingly. And then you've got the fine line black trim on the inside of the dashboard here. A lot of people get hung up on their trim choices and stuff, and this is by far my favorite. You can only get it on the M Sport trim with the X5, and then with the X6 you can get it basically regardless because M Sport is standard. standard. And then also we were talking about the M Sport Professional package and the parking assist. The parking assist is also a must-have, as that is going to get you these upgraded 4K cameras on all four corners. So very important to keep in mind there as well. Continuing on with the interior changes, you've got this beautiful Sensatec dashboard that is now standard. It's quite nice. Before, it was just this cheap rubberized coating, and I can't even really get into the 2023s anymore without noticing that big difference. The ventilated seats got much better for the 2024 model year as well, and they made the multi-contour seats standard, which is also quite nice. The reason they got so much better, I think that the fan was vastly improved. So that's kind of the big differences from the inside, and as well as the power and some of the packaging goes. Sitting in the back seat of this car with the passenger side all the way put back with a 5'8" gentleman here in the back, you're going to be a little bit, you're not going to have much room for activities. We got about a 1 finger gap, so about 1 centimeter with a 5'8" gentleman in the back. However, with a 5'8" gentleman driving the car, you could probably fit LeBron back behind you with about 5 inches or so of legroom. Again, you do have heated seats and 4-zone climate control in the back if you get that climate comfort package, which is very important. I would definitely recommend getting that. And then as far as headroom goes, this is one of the bigger detractors on the X6 over the X5 as well, is you lose some of this headroom. I have probably about 3 inches of headroom or so in the back of the car. Also, it's very hot, very sweaty outside, 93 degrees outside recording this video. So if you guys like this video so far, please consider subscribing and hitting that like button, because it does help out, especially whenever I'm sweating my butt off on my lunch break. But yeah, let's get back into kind of the thick of it. The back of the seat, we have a USB-C right there, as well as a little hexagonal kind of mount point for iPads or any kind of other equipment that you want to add. And then you have 2 more USB-Cs right down here in the bottom. Or you don't on the X6. On the X5, you have USB-Cs down there. That is crazy. So yeah, that's kind of a big move there. So only 2 USB-Cs in the back versus 4 in the X5. But then legroom and headroom are also a little bit adjusted as well. Another thing with the X6 over the X5 is the back doors don't open nearly as much. If you are curious about the new X5s, I did a video on that on my channel a little while ago. So check that out in the description below as well. But back seats are pretty comfortable, and then this car also has the upgraded Harman Kardon audio system as standard, so you're going to have that additional good sound quality and those sort of things. But that's kind of covering everything on the outside of the car, as well as, but before I forget, the climate comfort access feature is only on the front driver's doors. It no longer is on the rear doors. So whenever you want to get into the back of the car, you have to grab the passenger side first, and that'll unlock all 4 doors. Just keep that in mind. That is a downside of going to a 24 over a 23, but it is what it is. Also, with that M Sport Professional package, as we mentioned earlier, you get blacked out headlights, but for the 2024 year, the headlights are no longer cornering, as somebody mentioned in the X5 video as well. So pluses and minuses, I like to just make sure that I give you guys the full information whenever we're doing these reviews. But let's take this thing for a bit of a drive. In the driver's seat of the 2024 BMW X6, you are greeted with a very comfortable cabin. The engine and those sort of things kind of fade away into the background, and it just feels so good to be out of the heat. It is so smoking hot today, and I have to do a video on a BMW M4 before we dealer trade it to a different dealership. Otherwise, it's who knows whenever I'm going to be able to record the M4 LCI video. It is so ridiculously hot. So if I'm not as coherent and making as much sense as I usually do, that's because I'm dying of heat stroke. But yeah, the iDrive 8.5 operating system just works very, very well. You have seamless integration with BMW navigation, as well as the Apple CarPlay navigation and Android Auto. It's completely wireless, which is just quite nice, and just does exactly what you would want out of a car operating system. It is a little bit more complicated than the iDrive 7 system that's outgoing, but you guys have heard me say this a dozen times over and over, and it works well. We finally have adjustable gauge clusters, which allow for a little bit more customization inside of our cars, and overall, just the screen looks good. It goes into the dash well, and I like the curved display. This system grows on me a little bit more every single day. I mentioned it a little bit earlier, but the ventilated seats are much, much better, but it does not feel like the air conditioning can keep up I've got it set to 62 degrees on inside, and it feels like the fan is just barely even blowing inside of the cabin. You do have the little purple nurple twisters for your climate control to turn the vents on and off, which I think is quite fun. And then I also really love how the dash trim incorporates into the rest of the vehicle. I also do really enjoy where they have put in the ambient lighting. However, it is a little bit weird that on the X6 they don't have quite as much ambient lighting as they do on, say, the BMW iX, which has teardrop lining along the side of the doors, and that just makes it feel that much more special and kind of customized to that car. The full panoramic sunroof does open up about halfway, so you've got plenty of skylight coming in the cabin if you want it to, but with how hot it is today, I'm not going to do that. And they did keep the executive package, which upgrades you to getting soft closed doors, and you get the crystal gauge shifter, and then a bunch of other like kind of little neat gadgets, such as the 1800 crystal etchings inside of the roof, which is just kind of nice if you're looking for something just to take your car up to that next level. Speaking of that next level, you do have the Harman Kardon audio system, which gives a great bass profile. There's no weird cracks and rattles and creaks whenever you're driving the car, and you have the bass turned up all the way like there is in the GLE 53. That was a huge letdown from that car, because otherwise it's great. It's got that Mercedes exhaust system. It sounds awesome, but just if you turn the sound system up over 50%, it's just horrible. This car, you don't have that same problem with it, and honestly, the Harman Kardon's pretty good. If you upgrade to the X6 M60 model, which has the S68 engine, making 523 horsepower, you can opt it in with that Bowers & Wilkins sound system, and if you have the option, if you have the ability to do that, definitely upgrade to the Bowers & Wilkins if you are somebody who likes your audio and your music and those sort of things. Horsepower and fuel economy, this thing gets pretty good fuel economy, honestly. Probably in that, not probably, you're going to get in that 25 miles per gallon, 24, 25 miles per gallon combined rating, with around 22 to 23 for the city, and then upwards of 29 to 32 on the highway, just depending on how heavy your foot is, if you're using eco mode and those other sort of things. Part of that is due to the 48-volt mild hybrid system that adds an 11 horsepower motor inside of the transmission to get the wheels turning at a low speed, and just overall just makes the car drive a little bit smoother in a variety of different traffic environments. This car also does boast that by adding in that M Sport Professional package, you will get an M Sport sounding exhaust. So it's not going to be what exhausts like you hear on the M440 or the M4, where it just screams, but it does have a little bit more of a baritone sound to it. However, I do want to point this out to you guys. This is one of those things that's just kind of inherent with having new vehicles. They have sounds piped in. So we're in comfort mode right now. If we put it into sport, you're going to notice immediately the engine's going to downshift. And you get quite a bit of sound inside of the cabin, but it's a little bit high pitch. If you turn off the sounds, you lose some of that like high pitch resonance inside of the cabin, which just tells you there's quite a bit of sound being piped in inside of the cabin. So I like it. I'm going to keep it on because you do get a little bit more of a feeling whenever you're driving in Sport Plus. But just so you guys know, if you are shopping around, that is a real thing. But thankfully, you can at least turn it off now. You used to not be able to adjust it. So at least they're moving in the right direction in that sake. Other creature comforts and other kind of techie things that you may not think of is this car does have a wireless a wireless charger, so that'll keep your phone plug like topped up whenever you're using Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, which is quite nice. And then you have ultra wideband technology with your cell phone, so you can use your phone as a key without having to take it out of your pocket, which is also quite nice. Major differences between the X5 though and the X6, if you're looking for one and you can't seem to find an X6 to test drive, as these cars are much more rare. They sell about 100,000 X5s compared to about 13,000 X6s every year, and the allocations show, and people always want X6s. So it's just a thing. So if you are just looking for something to test drive, go test drive an X5. The only difference is you're going to have slightly less room in the back for cargo space. You can still see that you can obviously fit as much as you want in that third row cargo area anyhow. However, you also are losing a little bit of rear legroom and a little bit of headroom. Other than that, it's the same chassis, drives the same, sounds the same, feels the same. Go drive an X5 and you will be able to make your determination if an X6 is going to be right for you. The X6 also costs about $8,000 to $10,000 more than what the X5 costs. So if you're on a budget and you are looking to negotiate, the X6 is not the car for you. Go to get an X5. The X6 is just too high demand and too rare to go and get a smoking deal on, but they are cool, they do look cool, and because of how rare they are, they hold their value a little bit better as well. 0 to 60 time is somewhere in that, you know, high 4s, low 5s range. I think it's like 4.8 seconds is what's quoted, but that depends on tires and all kinds of different other factors, such as temperature and those things too. But yeah, that's pretty much where I'm gonna go ahead and leave the video off for today. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. If you learned something, I would really appreciate it if you dropped a like on the video or hit that subscribe button. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will catch you guys in the next one. Deuces.